It's 6:38. Got Chris, Scott and Johnny. So Scott, more Viper 3. In this video I show you the beautiful Peak District National Park west of Sheffield. I'm flying with Scott, Johnny and Chris. So Scott took off first on his Ozone Viper 3. I'm up next, so I'm in the air on my Dudek Nucleon XX 24 metre. Now Chris is launching on his Reporter, not sure what size it is. He's flying a Bulldog Atom 80. And then followed by Johnny, who takes off about 10 minutes later on his Dudek Solo with a Parajet. So the plan is to fly to the north of the Ladybower Reservoir and then fly south all the way down to Chatsworth House, and then we'll take it from there. So I usually fly around Bedfordshire and Cambridgeshire, which is quite flat. Also up at Wingland in Lincolnshire is very, very flat, so it's really great to be flying around this landscape and get to see some stunning views. So below is Howden Dam, and in the distance Derwent Dam. Constructed between 1901 and 1912, the Industrial Revolution created a huge demand for water. So it's built alongside the Derwent Dam to supply the East Midlands, South Yorkshire and Derbyshire. So a pretty large area. And this area is famous because it was used by the 617 Squadron for practicing low-level flights needed for Operation Chastise in World War II, also known as the Dam Busters raids. The dams are quite similar to the ones found in Germany. So now flying down the Ladybower Reservoir, which is linked to the two upper reservoirs. And as the water level has dropped, we've had a very, very dry period. The last 9 months in the UK has been exceptionally dry. So the reservoir levels have dropped down, so I thought, why not have a cheeky low-level flight? So I'm absolutely loving this flight. I did notice, however, at this point that I can see Scott, but I can't see Chris anywhere. And I did get some notifications from Chris on WhatsApp saying that he's getting engine blips. But he said he's still airborne and he decided to gain some height. So I turned round to have a look for him, but couldn't actually find him. But it turns out he was about 5,000 feet up. And so he decided to fly back, unfortunately, because of an unreliable engine. So I'm continuing to fly along the edge, and I spot this bride and groom having their wedding photos taken. And I did notice the photographer took a cheeky shot of me as well as I flew past. But well, it was a great sight to see. So I managed to time this well. At the time of flying over, there are 12 large-scale sculptures which are part of the Burning Man exhibition. And they were created with the Burning Man team from the Black Rock Desert in Nevada, USA. So this is Chatsworth House, part of the Chatsworth estate, stately home in Derbyshire, and seat of the Duke of Devonshire, and belongs to the Cavendish family since 1549. If you've not been, heartily recommend it. Lots of lovely gardens, and the Derwent River flows through. A really, really nice architectural stately home. So at this point, Johnny and Scott peel off, and I continue south down the Derwent River, and there's loads of people swimming in the river trying to cool off. It's a very hot day today, probably in the low 30 degrees C, and I keep away from the people on the right, so I'm on the other side of the river, but I decide to do some low-level flying along the river, and then I turn off at the bottom towards Haddon Hall and then head up towards Bakewell. Here is Haddon Hall, home of Lord Edward Manners. Origins of the hall are from the 11th century, with additions in the 13th and 17th centuries, latterly in the Tudor style. Now flying over Bakewell. I really like this place. I've been here a few times, and I especially enjoy the Bakewell tarts from the Bakewell pudding shop. Heartily recommend a day out here. There's a lovely river that flows through the town. Really enjoy that. So now I decide to fly north up to Castleton, across the Derbyshire Dales, and to look at Peveril Castle, and then to basically speed bar it back to the field. And the wind actually gets up at this point. It's quite strange. In the UK, all over the UK, I've noticed as I've been flying towards the end of the day, we've had this easterly wind. But at the end of the day, the winds always increase when it comes from the east. So here's Castleton and Peveril Castle. So this is a ruined 11th century castle built after the Norman conquest of 1066. The start of this conquest can be seen in the Pevensey Castle in my Brighton and East Sussex video. So here we are. I'm cutting out the journey back. Took a fair amount of time to get back because of the strong winds, and here I am coming in for my landing.
Oh yeah, best fun in the world. One of these lines you can pull a car. Yeah, it's very strong. Very, very strong, yeah. Oh, a bit of a dodgy landing. On my feet though, came in first. Slightly downhill. So this field is not suitable for westerly takeoffs due to those trees there. The wind will come over those, there'll be too much rotor. However, we do have a westerly wind. Got my coffee, got 15 litres of fuel, so you can stay up for 3 hours. It's funny, when you're nervous, you can feel yourself procrastinating over little things. That's a sign of nervousness, even if you're not conscious of it. Definitely feeling it today. So what's the wind doing now? Is that an easterly? Great. Again, once you've got the full tank on your back, wing is laid out, it's tempting to just think, sod it, I've done all that work, let's just go. But the cost of that is a failed launch. I'm going to lay out into the northeast, which is the forecasted wind direction. So that's why I was nervous, because I knew it was going to change. Early in the day, the wind just does what it wants. Second wing layout. The dog pissing my wings before I launch. Let's fully commit to this.
So I was very nervous on this day. I'm flying on my own. So next morning I camped over at Fox Hag Farm, and so I'm on my own. And when I arrived at the field, as I showed you earlier, it was a westerly wind, but very, very light, coming over those trees. And the guys who fly from here regularly say to me that they never ever fly a westerly. So I did nevertheless lay out towards the west, and when I got my motor and put it on my back, the wind switched around to the forecasted direction, so I had to relay the wing out again. So the plan for this flight is to go north, and I'm flying over the Owlport Castle. So this is actually a landslide, one of the UK's biggest landslides, which happened a long, long time ago. I don't think anyone knows exactly when. This is the crash site of a Boeing B-29 Super Fortress, which crashed here in 1948. It was a reconnaissance aircraft, not a bomber, part of the Photographic Reconnaissance Squadron to photograph nuclear testing. Apparently the area was covered in low cloud at the time, and the pilot believed he had passed the hills and began a descent into the US Air Force Base in Burtonwood when he hit the ground. Not far away is another crash site. A Bristol Blenheim crashed in 1939. 2 South African airmen were both killed when their Blenheim crashed during a training exercise on the 30th of January 1939. There's a memorial monument there now. So I'm now heading over the Chew Reservoir, which is very remote, and then down the Chew Valley. And then the distance you can't really see on the GoPro, but you can see Manchester. Below is the Pots and Pans Monument, which was erected for people who died serving in World War I. Pots and Pans actually refers to the stone that sits on top of the hill, locally known as the Druid Stone. So now flying towards Wentworth Castle, flying directly east into wind. This here is the Middle Black Clough Waterfall, which you can't actually see through the trees. And on the way I spotted these 2 circles. What are they about? So a half hour later I arrive at Wentworth Castle, which was finished in 1764. The original house was sold to Thomas Wentworth in 1670 and was remodelled and is evinced as the most perfect taste in architecture. So I decide to fly back to the field, but on the way I pass Wortley Hall, a stately home in South Yorkshire made of sandstone built by Sir Richard Wortley in 1586. So here's the farm where I stayed, and there's my tent below, which is only about a mile away from the field, which you can see at the top there. So I'm going to fly over and come in for a landing. Absolutely brilliant flight, absolutely loved it.
So, landed. Not a bad landing actually, all things considered. What an epic flight. It's 2.5 hours.
Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, hit the like button, helps other people find the channel. Check out the link in the description for a high-res photo album.